Welcome to Birmingham for World Cup Gymnastics. This is the women's all-round competition. 9 ladies from the top 8 teams in the world will compete on all 4 apparatus to become the all-around champion.
And a full arena for tonight's competition. The gymnasts ready to warm up here. They get 1 touch in the arena, 30 seconds each. And we've got 9 gymnasts working. They'll be split in their warm-up. We'll have half warm-up and then the other half. And you can see that we've got a spotlight on the apparatus being worked tonight. Usually the whole arena is lit, but tonight we've just got a spotlight, and it's the vault that's starting us off.
And joining us in the commentary box, we've got Christian Thomas, who's just getting his breath back. Vault, one of your stronger pieces, Christian. What are you looking for in this women's competition?
Well, I think the majority of the women will be performing the Yurchenko vault. So that's a good connection in the back flick onto the vault. Lots of height, straight arms as they contact the vault. And then obviously the landing and the height of the rotation and the twist, making sure that they complete the full twist as well. So lots and lots for the judges to be looking out at. It's quite a fast-paced apparatus for the judges to try and get all that information in such a short space of time.
And unlike the vault final, the gymnasts will only perform 1 vault in the all-around competition. So absolutely, it is a quite fast-paced competition. And you can see the gymnasts just taking their warm-up. 5 ladies will compete first, warm up and compete, and then the next 4 will go, Christine.
Yep, and this is the start list for us. We'll have the first 5. Thais Fidelis from Brazil, Victoria Wu from Canada, Liu Xiaoyu from China, Caroline Heduit, and Ellie Downie from Great Britain. That's the first 5. They'll warm up now and compete. Then Leah Grisia from Germany, and Naji Kajita from Japan, Aliya Mustafina from Russia, and Riley McCusker in the second half. Yep, they just compete 1 vault for all around.
And there you can see the first 5 gymnasts up. Interesting field of gymnasts there, Christine. Great to see Mustafina back. She'll be last up on this piece of apparatus. McCusker from the USA, traditionally very powerful on vault to lead. Nagi Kajita of Japan will be in second, and the replacement for De Santos from France is Caroline Heduit, a junior. What we'll be looking forward to seeing how she fares in this competition, and Liu Xiaoyu of China.
Yes, it's basically the World Cup series is for the top 8 nations in the world. You had to be in the top 8 countries at the World Championships at the end of 2018, and then you get an invite to the World Cup event, so it's very strong. And a very exciting gymnast from USA was part of the gold medal winning team in 2018 for USA.
Representing the United States of America, Riley McCusker.
So Riley McCusker, 3rd at the American Championships, opens this competition for us.
17 years of age, already at 1 World Championship. Such a powerful vaulter. Watch this. The Yurchenko wraps into the double twist, and unfortunately, she just didn't block off the top there, hands down. What a very costly mistake. First apparatus.
Yeah, it's such a shame, especially first apparatus. You can see there she came onto the vaulting table with bent arms. Ideally, you'd lay your arms straight onto there so you can really propel off vertically into the air. She didn't really get the connection that she wanted, which meant then that she was trying to fit in the 2 twists in a smaller amount of air time. So it makes it a lot more difficult for her. As you can see, having to land short and put the arms in. She was struggling a little bit with it in warm-up actually as well, so perhaps just not quite comfortable with the vault setup.
Yeah, it's unusual. The Americans are usually very forceful gymnasts. We're used to seeing them absolutely rocket through the air. But I think they do find the equipment in Europe quite difficult to adjust to. And that certainly, we saw an identical warm-up vault, so she obviously hadn't really managed to make the adjustment happily.
So we just wait for the score to come through for our first competitor.
Yeah, none like if they're going for the final.
The judges had a
They only have 1 vault or 1 opportunity at that.
See the judges there. We've heard that they will have to look at the vaulting table and check that it's all right.
numerous qualifications to make it to this standard.
McCusker was 8th in the all-around in the World Championships, but due to the countback rule of 2 per nation, she was unable to compete in the all-around. And what I think she'll be trying to do in the World Cup series is to establish a place on that American team, but she'll certainly have to vault a lot better than that if she wants to get into the ranks, because they are phenomenal vaulters.
They are indeed, and there we've got the score, 13.133. So that was 1 whole mark off for not landing properly and also for lack of height. So that's a sobering start for her.
Our next competitor on vault, representing Japan, Nagi Kajita.
So Nagi Kajita from Japan steps to the vault. Quite a tall gymnast.
18 years of age. See if she can attack, and she does. Just a very simple full twist, Yurchenko. Almost looked like it was lacking a bit of block off the top, actually. It just sort of dropped from the air, and obviously a lower tariff vault, so won't score as high as well.
Yeah, again, you can see it wasn't really the contact that she was perhaps looking for to try and get herself a little bit more higher in the air. You can see there the knees really having to come forward on that landing. So she did well to try and control it, but you could see there that the contact didn't really propel her the way that she wanted to. And obviously that makes it a lot more difficult. Again, she looked like she slid a little bit on top of the vaulting platform there, so maybe her feet wasn't really in the correct position initially on the springboard, and then obviously the domino effect, then you come onto the vaulting table in a slightly compromised position.
Well, quite unusual really to see a couple of gymnasts struggle immediately. It's quite a difficult format to come out into actually a pitch black arena virtually with just the vault run lit. It wouldn't be something they're very used to at all.
Certainly not. We seem to be more adept at World Cup events within Europe, and when people come from outside of Europe, they find it a bit difficult to the format.
So 13.033 for Kajita. Heavily penalised for that very deep landing.
Our next competitor, representing France, Caroline Hedoui.
So Caroline Hedoui.
And off she goes down the vault run. Again, Yurchenko approach, much better on the top. Full twist the same as the Japanese gymnast. Just a little step on the landing there. Looked slightly surprised to, I think, land quite so high. Took her by surprise a little bit, but that was definitely a cleaner vault of the 2 that we've seen previously.
Yeah, a lot better vault there, but you could see the floor hit her and she looked really surprised there. She hasn't prepared for the landing at all. She was obviously a little bit, just a lack of concentration or something, but it's like the floor hit her rather than she hit the floor, and you've got to really strike the top. That was pretty good, but then it was just a little bit soft in the legs. Interesting, the first 3 vaulters, really, we've not had really one good vault out of the 3.
She was quite offline on the approach as well, which is unusual, right over to one side. But that was a very unusual sort of landing, because usually the gymnast is twisting with the body on a dish position, so they see the floor as they come down. She almost seemed unsighted. And 13.366, so you're right, Craig, the best of the vault so far.
Our next competitor, representing the People's Republic of China, Liu Jiayu.
So Liu Jiayu from China.
So again, another gymnast that will use the Yurchenko approach onto the vault. A bit more of a laboured run up, but good contact. And again, the Yurchenko full twist there. Not lots of height and had to jump out to the side.
I think she actually landed in the red zone, didn't she? Let's have a look here.
Oh no, she landed just like with a little toe on the line and then jumped into that. Looked good entry, but you could see there, reached over to one side, which put her out of line. Good in the air, but they'll take some deductions. Look there, you can see she just sort of in the round off, went across to one side, landed right on the line, and then jumped in to that deduction zone.
A little bit of a laboured run, actually. I was quite surprised how good a vault it ended up.
I always felt with Yurchenko vaults that the run-up had to be perhaps a little bit slower than a handspring or a round-off approach. I think it's slightly more technical that you have to get right, and sometimes a fast run-up can compromise that a little bit. But that was definitely a lot slower than what I was expecting, to be honest.
I think when you've watched a couple of other gymnasts before, yeah, there's the score, 13.033.
And that very much reflects the direction, the fact that she ended up jumping into that red zone. Now the gymnast that everyone's been waiting to see, Aliya Mustafina. Such a dominant performer for so many years.
Has in fact competed a Yurchenko 2.5 twist many years ago. But I presume we'll be opting for the double twist today. Had lots of height in a warm-up attempt, so off she goes. A much faster run up, good contact, into the double twist. That's much more like it there.
Great vault from Mustafina. First world champion back in 2011.
Yeah, you can see the experience actually in this gymnast, the confidence to go down and actually knowing I'm going to hit this double twist, where a couple of the vaults before they did look a little bit tentative approaching the vaulting table, but we often see this women in sport that have gone away and had children and come back like she has with this air of confidence. She looked really measured, really in control. Like you say, Christian, she can do this in a 2.5. So in theory, the double twist should be a lot easier for her. Straight down the middle, great start.
Yeah, sorry, she was first world champion in 2010. So we're looking 9 years ago, and she's been at the top of the sport. Battled through injury recently. 18 months ago, had a baby, and here is the score, 14.366.
14.366, and a really strong start by her. I think she takes the lead by a mark so far. I know it's only halfway through the rotation, but she's really laid down the gauntlet.
Yeah, as you said earlier, it's kind of that risk and reward, and by going for the double twist, she went for the higher difficulty.
So there we see Mustafina at the top of the standings, quite emphatically a mark ahead of Caroline Heduit. Riley McCusker down in third, Liu Jiayu in fourth, equal with Naji Kajita.
As you gain experience, it can only help you go forwards.
And of course, a strong apparatus for her next, the uneven bars. So
and the second little group, the second group of four, warm up now. So we have Leah Grisier first, followed by Victoria Wu, Ellie Downie from Great Britain in 8th, and then Tia Fidelis for Brazil. is our final vaulter of the evening.
First or second in the split warm-up when you've seen what people have already done, do you think?
I think it kind of depends what
Gymnasts in this
what works
warm-up
for you,
probably
what
have
you
the
like.
time
Some
to do
gymnasts like to keep track of
2 vaults
what
maximum,
they've done. Some people like to just be in their own
get
kind of
themselves
headspace
prepared,
and
focus.
just focus on themselves. So I think it could,
while the first 5
you can choose whether
competitors
you have
will
one
prepare for the next piece of apparatus.
Did you like going up first, or did you not mind? Did you just blank out everything while you
I'm
were
actually
waiting?
wondering how many of these gymnasts have competed in this sort of arena before, where there's just a spotlight on the one apparatus, especially for some of these female gymnasts who are a little bit younger than the male gymnasts as well, perhaps not got quite that exposure to the international level that some of the males have. So I think for this, it's definitely going to play a part, especially considering most of them have only really had one proper training session to actually adjust to the arena, adjust to the light, and it is very, very difficult to do that in such a short space of time.
Yeah, and we came in and watched training last night, and they just lit one piece of apparatus, and it was lit for about 20 minutes. So it wasn't possible to stay and train a bit longer because the lights went off that apparatus onto the next one. So I think it is quite taxing for them.
And there you can see our first look at Ellie Downie for Great Britain. Having one of her warm-up vaults. Watched her last night a little bit in podium, and I was asking actually about the lights, and she said actually once you've done a couple of vaults you sort of just get used to it, and I think that's the experience thing, Christian, you were talking about. We've seen the first 5 vaults. 4 of them were a little bit shaky, but Mustafina, with all those years of experience, just came out of that. And I guess it's a real learning experience for some of these younger gymnasts to try and emulate that confidence, because that's really key in this competition.
It is, and I think especially on the first piece of apparatus, you want to set yourself off in the best possible position. Vaults sometimes a little bit easier perhaps to do that. You can lose some of that adrenaline, lose some of those competition nerves, but we know Ellie's coming into it in very good shape. British champion just last weekend, sorry. Competed 2 days in a row, so we know that she's got some very interesting and some very exciting routines to come later on in the competition.
So Leah Greta for Germany on the vault opens up this second subdivision.
Representing Germany, Aliya Mustafina.
So Leah will be one of the only gymnasts not actually performing a Yurchenko-style vault. And then the vault run, there's handspring into the pipe front, the tiniest of steps just on the landing. Perhaps not the most difficult, but very clean nonetheless.
Yeah, nice and flighty. We're used to often seeing these with a half turn out or a full turn, but it was very cleanly performed.
It'd be interesting to see how that scores in this field of competition. It's a 4.2 on difficulty, so the maximum she could score is 14.2, and it was very clean as well. This is what we're going to look from the springboard, good block from the top, plenty of time to extend, and that's the thing, if you're going to do a simpler vault, you have to execute it well, otherwise you can forget it.
So the judges have 10 marks for execution. They can deduct from the 10 marks. There'll be a few tenths for those little steps, and possibly for a bit of lack of height and maybe lack of length. But legs were together. It was very neat.
Well, seems happy with that. And I think the World Cups are a real, slightly, I want to say pressurised, but it's a bit warmer competition.
So 13.133, she's done well with that.
Thank you. Well done.
And our next competitor on vault, representing Canada, Victoria Wu.
Victoria Wu for Canada, an experienced gymnast, a member of their 2014 Commonwealth team.
And she's ready to perform the vault. Nice and fast approach. Good vault there, the Yurchenko full twist in the straight position. She looks very happy with that. That was good contact on the vault, lots of height and good solid landing as well for her.
Yeah, it seemed quite easy for that vault for her. I would say probably one of the best full twists we've seen. If you look, the height and plenty of length away from the table. She'd really strike back and block. A little bit of a crossing of the feet, but that'd be difficult for the judges to pick up at that speed. Down the middle, solid, clean opening vault.
She lifted up off the platform. The judges have a sort of table of how high they expect to see you lift off the platform to not have deductions, and that was quite a lot higher than some of the other vaults we've seen. And the score reflects it, 13.66.
Well, that score from that vault, Christine, put her into second place. So just proves if you can do a simple vault but execute it well,
Our next competitor on the vault,
get rewarded.
representing Great Britain.
So you can hear from the roar of the crowd, Great Britain's Ellie Downie is standing on the end of the vault run.
Well, watch this if she can hit. She's such a powerful gymnast. Look, wraps in the double twist. So much power. Struggled to control that power there, Christine. I mean, she blocked up the top apart from that jump back. Fantastic vaulting.
Well, fabulous vaulting, but she really had to work hard not to fall back. She generated such a lot of power that she really had to take a massive bounce back. She actually can go a lot higher. She went for a lot of rotation and was still rotating when she hit the floor. Hence the almost long jump backwards.
Well, she saved it. We'll take a jump back. That's much better than a fall. But you could see there the difference in power from Ellie compared to the smaller gymnasts that we've seen so far. She really has got such a powerful frame for this piece of apparatus, and she can pop that off the top. There's probably another half twist in there in training at least.
Oh yes, she's a very powerful vaulter and has been able to compete that for a long time now. But good performing. There we are, 14.3. Great score for Ellie Downie.
And our next competitor on vault, representing Brazil, Thais Fidelis.
So final competitor on the vault, Thais Fidelis from Brazil, one of the nations that impressed so much at the back end of last year.
And off she goes. Flips on, the full twist in the Yurchenko. Good landing. Yet again, not one of the most difficult vaults, but executed very well. So I think that'll score into the 13s, won't go into the 14s, but great vault.
Really good pop up off the top, a little weight, and then wraps the full twist in. You could have almost thought she was just going to do a straight vault. But it means she really lifts high before she wraps the twist. Lovely discipline to the vault, right down the middle.
World level, so certainly want to watch out for.
That was definitely well within her capabilities, that Christine. She's a double twister, I would say, most of the time.
Yes, because in actual fact her approach run was really quite leisurely, as though she didn't want to overdo it.
Well, she's part of the team at the World Championships 2018, that finished 7th. So she's got the experience. There's the score, 13.566 for Thais Fidelis on the vault.
A little bit of attention to the hands. Of course, one of the hazards of being a gymnast is your hands get ripped when you work on the bars.
And there you can see confirmation after the first apparatus. Mustafina leads the field, Downie in second, Wu in third, Fidelis 4th, Heduit 5th, Grisha 6th, McCusker 6, Lu 8, and Kajita in equal 8th position.
And so we move our attention to the uneven bars and the new working order this time. Naji Kajita will start us with Caroline Heduit 2nd, Yu Zheu 3rd, Aliya Mustafina 4th, and Aliya Grisha 5th. So those first 5 will warm up, compete, and then the second half will warm up. Riley McCusker, who started the competition off, drops right to the end, so she works in 9th place.
Some of these gymnasts will have come straight from the World Cup last weekend in Germany. I can tell you that Mustafina was having a great competition, but then fell off the beam 3 times, I think, so she'll certainly want to make amends for that, but she's got off to a good start already.
And of course, the uneven bars are her piece. She's been Olympic champion on the uneven bars. It's very much the apparatus she stars on.
Apparatus, and also I think for a lot of the gymnastics, it completely switches your kind of awareness because the whole thing is based upside down. So I think in that respect,
Coach is busy adjusting the tension and the mats.
Then we say pretty decent on the bars. Christine, she was gold medalist in 2012 at the Olympics and retained a title with another gold in Rio. And I think the sights will be firmly set on the triple, but it'll be a lot harder in Tokyo, don't you think?
I think so, but obviously, you know, she's already back in great shape. Just 18 months after becoming a mum, and is obviously enjoying competing.
Well, as a relatively new parent myself, I'll be saying it's she's probably quite enjoying the peace and quiet. I think I'd rather be training.
Well, yes, there is that to it. So you had a little view of the gymnasts spraying the bars. Everybody likes the bars slightly different. But here you see the gymnasts putting their hand guards on. They always wear wristbands under the guards.
This is a piece of apparatus that just seems to take its time for the gymnast to prepare because there's so much to change. Choking the bars, applying water. So you can see the water in the left hand there. The hand guards on top of the wristbands just to protect the wrists. So what we're looking for, Christine, for a good bar routine, would you say?
Well, there's several requirements you have to have. You have to move from the high bar down to the low bar. So if you just do a routine on the high bar, you lose quite a lot of marks. You have to make that transfer. You also need a release and re-grasp of one bar. So that's where you, holding onto the bar, make a somersault and re-grasp the same bar. So you need that. You have to have more than just a forward grip. When you're swinging around, normally your hands are in the grip, a forward grip, an over grip like Mustafina is here. But you also have to show it a reverse grip as well. So you have to show 2 different grips, and you have to have a full pirouette. So that, there we are, she's shown us perfectly her full pirouette. So you have to be quite versatile, not only able to work in one sort of element.
And I think also it's the top 8 skills, and what Mustafina's real secret to success is the fact that she gets the 8 moves done as quick as possible, links them from one to the other and off, because a bit like the men's high bar, it is a difficult piece to get a good score on for the women. So the more extra swings you do, the more likely to pick up deductions.
Yeah. Every move will attract some deductions. If you do the first move with a bit bent arms, the judges will deduct 0.1. If your legs are bent, they'll deduct another 0.1. So you will be attracting deductions. So the way to do it is only do the 8 moves. Don't do 18 moves, because otherwise you're giving more and more marks away.
Absolutely, and I think that's the skill we'll see. Generally, a lot of the inexperienced gymnasts haven't got the repertoire to link these big skills, which means they add more and then more deductions. So it'll be interesting to see the construction of Mustafina's routine compared to the rest.
It will indeed.
You see the coach there, allowed to spot the gymnast, and they're allowed in the competition as well. As long as they don't touch the gymnast within the competition, that's absolutely fine. If they catch the gymnast, then the gymnast actually picks up a penalty. But in warm-up, that's absolutely no problem at all. And then you can see the coach of Nagi Kajita just prepping the bars. She'll be the first gymnast up. So just by adjusting the tension, we'll give a different pull on the bar. You can see they've actually, is that a digital tension cable?
Yeah,
now,
it is. It is a digital tension cable on the actual set into the bars. So we've been joined by Beth Treadle here, of course, Olympic medalist on this apparatus, the expert, to join us in the commentary and give her analysis.
Final preparations. So she'll wait for the green light from the judges. Final bit of water. That adds to the grippiness of the bars. I think we might be underway.
And our first competitor on the uneven bars, representing Japan, Nagi Kajita.
And first competitor on the uneven bars for Japan, it's Nagi Kajita.
So to get this bar rotation started, we have the Japanese with a huge release and catch, the straight Kachev. Going straight down into the low bar with the pack salto, legs locked together. Straight back up to the high bar with the shap, with the half turn. Just made it over in the half turn there. Big Jaeger somersault. Gymnasts have to show a forward element, but just fell short on that upstart handstand with a half turn.
She'd done all the very difficult stuff, Beth, and then a relatively easy move.
She had, and it will have been to turn her back round probably to do the dismount, so it's a shame. But you can see the first part of the routine was very well done. She had multiple release and catch elements. She has 30 seconds to get back onto the bar, and you can see she's now remounted. There's the in-bar work with the full turn. And building up towards the dismount, which has to be counted in her difficulty. And the full twisted double back. I think she may have just put her hands down at the end, but I'm sure they'll re-show that.
It's a shame, just shows how important that timing
Bit of a
is.
disappointing routine for her.
Yeah,
Well, a bit of a hazardous routine. In fact, she hadn't really warmed up very well. This dismount, you can see the hands touched at the same time, and she'd come in quite close to that high bar. Quite a few problems with that routine, but full of promise. Great start.
Ideally, you're aiming to...
She didn't have a great vault, and then obviously to go to bars and have a bit of a hiccup there. It looked all a little bit laboured for me, a bit short on the handstand. When she did the pack salto, it looked a bit close to the low bar as well.
That was the handstand half turn, but you have to have your body, your centre of gravity going over the bar to half turn. Yeah, the first few elements were great, but she tired, and really, had she managed to carry on there, I wouldn't have liked to see the dismount. Having had a bit of a rest here and reorganised herself, the dismount was still quite hazardous. So the judges will have to take one whole mark off for the fall, possibly a whole mark for the hands down on the dismount as well.
And the score comes in 11.766 for Nagi Kajita of Japan.
And our next competitor on the uneven bars, representing France, Caroline Hedoui.
And on to the uneven bars for France is Caroline Hedoui.
And this is her first year as a senior, but was a medalist at the junior level, Junior Europeans on bars, and that's a very nice early combination. The upright into Stolder Kachev and now a stoop Kachev straight into Pak Salto. This is a very difficult and impressive routine. That flight to the high bar with half turn is very difficult for a little gymnast, and the Jaeger, Pike Jaeger, quite late in the routine. Hops the hands into reverse grip, lovely high double front somersault. That was very good. That will be a high-scoring routine.
That routine was packed with difficulty right from the word go. The aim of the gymnast is to link every element, and this is one thing that she did very well. There's the low to the high bar transition straight into a big release and catch, so she builds up the connection bonuses there. Very few elements in between. Just a slight loss of leg form on that transition to the low bar, but a great Shaposley with the half turn up to the top bar. Uses the hop to be able to get into the double front and spots the landing very, very well. Just has that small step, but a fantastic routine from such a young gymnast. Great talent for the future.
The French are pretty good on bars. It's one of their strong pieces. But she uses the stoop action well, where you don't put your feet on the bar, and that gets a lot of marks.
I think this is one the young French gymnast we saw last year was impressive. 13.9 for Hedoui on the uneven bars. Great start, great score.
Our next competitor, representing the People's Republic of China, Liu Jiayu.
Next up, onto the uneven bars for China is Liu Jiayu.
This is a piece of apparatus the Chinese are renowned for, doing lots of intricate turns. Here's the big start, the shap, straight into the short clear with a full turn, linking it straight into a release and catch element. Unfortunately, just too far over the bar to be able to keep hold. The judges will have to make a decision whether she had a temporary hold on the bar as to whether they credit the skill. It just looked like her left hand didn't quite re-grasp. So she restarts the routine, straights away, hops into the forward element.
Well, that is pretty surprising. And that Kachev that she missed, she was right in the right position to catch, wasn't she, Beth?
She was. It just looked like one arm wasn't as stretched out as the other one. Again, that one, her weight was just slightly behind her, so when she caught, her centre of mass was behind her. So 2 whole marks will be taken for those 2 fours. Coaches can stand in for the safety, so you can see a coach there. There's the Pak Salto. Builds up for the shap with a half turn. In bar work. And then builds up towards the dismount, the full twisting double back. A very troublesome routine, and not a traditional Chinese routine.
No, it wasn't, and it wasn't really a routine with great risk. Very surprising to see her miss. I do wonder whether the gymnasts are finding it difficult to adjust to the very bright spotlight right above them.
Yeah, they are using a very different format at this World Cup. The rest of the arena is, the lights are down and then it's just the apparatus that is lit up. But they had training in it yesterday and they all seem to get through their routines.
Yes, and actually in the warm-up they had as well. The dismount was, again, quite close to the bar, as though she was losing energy a little bit. That was a very nicely done move. It's called a Shaposhnikova after the first gymnast that ever did it, and it's the flight from the low bar up to the high bar.
Well, it was full of trouble pretty much from the start, and unfortunately, you know, that's what happens sometimes, you know what I mean? There you go, you can see the apparatus, just that piece of apparatus lit in an arena full of darkness. So great for spectators, obviously not that great for competitors.
Well, it will be directly above the heads of the gymnasts, so that presumably when they're doing the release moves, they've got the light shining directly in their eyes as they're going for the regrasp.
You can see the gymnasts chalking the bar up. Every gymnast likes to have the bar slightly different, and it's quite nice to see the gymnasts are helping each other out here. So some gymnasts will like lots of chalk and a little bit of water. Some gymnasts will not like much chalk at all. But next up we do have Queen on this piece of apparatus. She's obviously very renowned for picking up medals at every international level possible.
Here's another fact for you, Beth. She was the most successful Russian athlete in the Rio Olympics. So 3 medals she had, a gold, silver and a bronze. So pretty impressive, and bars is her piece of apparatus. So let's see if the lights affect her. See the judges there just taking the time, and I think the problem will be there is whether they credit some of that difficulty, and you say if they do a release and catch they've got to show hang. Well, she didn't show hang on the Kachev, and the Pike Jaeger somersault, she grabbed the bar and off, so whether they show that as a temporary hang, and then that means she'd have no release and catch, which is a requirement.
It is, and if they don't count the Jaeger as having caught the front summy, then she's got no forward element either. So out of the 4 requirements you have to have, she would be missing 2. If they don't give either of those 2 release and catches, it's really a very hazardous mistake.
And the score comes in. It reflects the performance, 9.933 for Liu Jieyu.
Next to the representing Russian Federation, Aliya Mustafina.
Next up on the uneven bars, representing Russia, is Aliya Mustafina.
So he's quoted as saying that although bars has brought her the greatest success, it's the apparatus you have to work hardest at, and I'm sure getting back into shape, this is the piece that's really she's had to work at. Lovely handstand shape at the beginning. There's the full pirouette, the Stolder full, up to the high bar immediately back down and back up again. She's linked all her elements beautifully. The half turn, now the front somersault, catches with ease, so well practiced. Half turn, we haven't had an empty element yet at all. Full pirouette, full twisting double back. That's how you work bars. That's uneven bars at their best. There was no empty elements at all. Every element she performed counted for something.
It does, and that shows why she is a double Olympic champion. You can see she just finds a natural swing on this piece of apparatus. Every single element is linked. Therefore, she's building up the difficulty bonus and not giving any reason for deductions to be taken. The release and catch elements are catching high above the bar, which gives her time. The full turns, they're finishing in handstand, and then obviously connecting it straight into the dismount here. You've got the full turn straight into the full twisting double back, and just a tiny little hop, but a world-class routine.
I'm going to say that just showed all those years of experience there on those bars. What light problem? That's how you do it, as you say, connecting all the skills. No chance of deductions there with extra swings. Just phenomenal.
Well, she's performed this work for so long, it's definitely stored well in the memory banks.
And look at the score, 14.366 for Mustafina on the bars. Brilliant first two pieces of apparatus.
You can see the coaches are just adjusting the tensions of the bars. Again, some gymnasts like the chalk and the water, but some gymnasts like the bars to be really solid, and some of them like the bounce a little bit more.
Next up for Germany will be Aliya Mustafina.
So there's the toe on and off with a full turn straight into the shap. Another linked element and another one, and straight up to the high bar, building up her difficulty. There's the in-bar stolder. And a big high release and catch with the Jaeger. Changes her hands to be able to do the forward giant to ensure she's got that requirement. And there's the double front. A great routine. Not as obviously as much difficulty as what we've seen from Mustafina, but a solid performance.
Yeah, it's a well-constructed routine. Again, not too many empty elements. A little bit off the handstand positions. All these pirouettes and that shoot down are meant to finish in handstand. You can see she's just a little bit past, but not so far past that she can't work into the next element. There we go. Good high front somersault. That's the Jaeger somersault. Just a little bit bent legs when she straddles them, which she does into handstand, but a very nice routine.
Quite a nice punchy routine that, I thought, and a nice way just to finish off this section of gymnasts. She's happy with that. And over the years, Germany's produced some pretty decent bar workers as well.
Oh yeah, quite well-renowned bar workers. It's one of their big pieces. It's interesting because different nations have different apparatus that they excel on, and certainly Germany have always been strong on the uneven bars.
Well, that should score relatively well. I don't think it'll push Mustafina, which obviously was in a class of its own, but good routine nevertheless. And we're waiting for the score. The other four gymnasts will be warming up on the bars. In that group you can see, there's Great Britain's Ellie Downie. Pairing the bars. This competition will be a big test for Ellie, actually, won't it? Having competed last weekend, she's been out for a while through injury. There's a score, Aliya Mustafina, 12.566.
And so at the halfway stage on the uneven bars, Aliya Mustafina is in the lead from Caroline Hedowit. Aliya Mustafina third, Nagi Kajita fourth, and Liu Xiaoyu with that very unfortunate bar routine in the fifth spot.
So there we go, the order for the next four gymnasts. First up from Canada will be Victoria Wu. Then we'll have Ellie Downie for Great Britain, Ty Fidelis of Brazil, and last up will be Riley McCusker of the USA. You'll no doubt want to improve significantly from bad landing on the vault.
So this is still the warm-up. The gymnasts are allowed 50 seconds each to warm up on the bars, actually, because the tension does have to be changed, and everybody likes to spray or put chalk on, make it a little bit different.
There you can see the current leader, Aliya Mustafina. Must be very pleased with the way the competition's gone so far, but big apparatus ahead. She'll be obviously having thoughts about last weekend and falling off the beam, and she'll want to really make amends for that.
I think when you've been out of competition, beam is probably the hardest piece mentally to get back. Wouldn't you say that, Beth?
Yeah, you need competition experience, and you can only get that by being in competitions. You can do all of the control comps that you want in the gym, but that replication of those nerves of putting your arm up in front of that judge, having the whole arena just staring at you, you can't replicate that until you're in competition.
So you have to be prepared to have a few unsuccessful events to get back on the mark, really, don't you?
Yeah, so it was great, obviously, to see her back competing, though, because she had a tough year last year, and it's always hard to sit and watch all of your teammates competing, and all you can do is your rehab. And so it's great to see her back out there competing this weekend and last weekend.
And she's done well, actually, on beam. If you look in the past, she's medalled. She's been world champion on that piece of apparatus. So I suppose with the success, and you'll know this as more than anybody, Beth, is the pressure being successful on a piece of apparatus. People just expect you to be good at it.
Yeah, and it just takes time. If you've had time out, it just takes you a bit more time to get back into it.
Well, we'll be waiting for your return to gymnastics after you've had your baby. We'll give you 18 months, and we'll see how you get on.
You're so generous, Craig. Thanks for that.
Canada, let's hear it for Victoria.
Well, I know you're a bit impatient, so probably 12. There we can see Victoria Wu from Canada preparing herself. Canada's another country that's really come up through the ranks over the past few years.
Yes, they had a very successful 2018. Victoria Wu, age 21, back in the national team, and they're from the clear circle, the Shaposhnikova, and the full pirouette from the uprise. Couple of easier elements there into the shoot down and shoot up. So she's changed bars, she's made those requirements. Half turn there. Oh, and she pulled that Jaeger somersault in too close. She was really swinging fast. Had to do a bit of an easy swing half turn to get into the position for a double straight dismount. Lovely dismount, but actually not a great construction of routine there at all. Quite some very exciting work, but some quite strange connections as well, Beth.
Yeah, and it will be heavily deducted. You see here the Jaeger, she caught her feet before she caught with her hands, so she loses for the tap on the bar, but also the leg split. So the construction, like you say, with Christina's, you would put the big release and catch elements at the beginning, but you can see there she was well above the bar. She had plenty of height, but had closed her shoulders to bring her in too close. A lovely double straight dismount to finish the routine off. Sometimes you have fighting routines, and that was definitely one of her fighting routines.
I was just very surprised after the uprise into short clear full. I expected then a big release straight after it, and we had a couple of just toe on off to handstand shoot down. It just, yeah.
I thought the toe on and off might have gone into a catch-ev or something, because it certainly had the height off the bar. And I think when she did the stoop half into the forward grip before the Jaeger somersault, it was a little bit late, and then obviously her action's a little bit late, and that's why she hit the feet. And the score, 12.033. Victoria Wu of Canada puts her into third position. Hear the roar. Our next competitor on the uneven bars representing Great Britain is Ellie Downie.
So Ellie has changed her routine round for this season. Unfortunately, she's just gone for the toe on and off with the full turn and come off too early for the turn, so unable to complete the full turn. You can see here her feet were just that side of the bar. She will get up and probably repeat the element. There we are, the toe on and off with a full turn. Has to do the extra up start. There's the big shap into the short clear Kachev. A big combination, and here's the new element for this season. The Jaeger somersault. Unfortunately, just didn't quite hold on long enough. I'm sure we'll see in the replay here. You can see the shoulders just drop before she goes into it. And it doesn't look like she has tapped or caught for a moment hang. So the judges will have to make the decision as to whether she gets the value of the element and also the forward grip. Gymnasts, as long as they stay on the floor, their timer doesn't count. So Ellie knows the code well. And remounts. Here's the big Kachev straight into the pack. Just short on that handstand, but a great fight to get that shap half in. And winds up for the dismount. And a big double straight.
Those were very costly mistakes for Ellie, because as we were speaking about earlier, there's 4 requirements. You have to have a full pirouette. So having fallen on the full pirouette, she had to go back and do it again. And you have to have a forward element. And because she didn't catch that, she'll have lost the forward element requirement. Each of those is worth 0.5. But that is lovely. The piked Kachev, immediate pack salto down to the low bar. The second half of this routine was great. The shap half and lots of energy into this dismount. You can really see the whip of the bar lifting her up. It was very impressive, that last section. Just needs to be able to nail that first half.
And I guess this is the question I posed earlier is, you know, when you get back into competition, you have a big competition. The British Championships or National Championships is big for any performer. They really want to win that. And then a week later, come out into a big competition like this. And unfortunately, it's just another learning curve when she realises she needs to get back in the gym, get the volume of routines under her belt, and then come back and just be able to hit and nail those routines.
Yeah, I mean, this routine is brand new. It's brand new this season, so it just needs numbers in general. And the good thing is she's still got another few weeks before the European Championships, and all the focus now will be on. You can see there, it just, the heel release wasn't there before she let go, so she didn't come in close enough to be able to re-grasp that bar. But it is a learning curve when you've got new skills in. How do you cope under pressure when you've just seen, obviously, maybe Mustafina's gone through. She's her biggest rival today.
Well, I've been watching her on bars since I've been here, and I've not seen her catch that Jaeger somersault, so that's probably something to do with it. But she scores 10.5 on the uneven bars. It could have been a worse score, and still 2 apparatus to go.
Well, it will certainly focus her mind on what she needs to really push and work on. It's got the potential to be a fantastic routine.
Our next competitor on
It certainly has.
Brazil.
Next up, representing Brazil, will be Tai Vidalis.
Very popular start this, the transfer from the low to the high bar and then back down again. That's one requirement made already. Then with the half turn, so she's swinging now on the high bar. Good pirouette. There was the excellent Jaeger somersault, the front somersault, and the Kachev. You can see how early she managed to see the bar on that. Swing and turn to get around the right way for the dismount. the full pirouette. Free swing, 2 giants between into a relatively simple double tuck. That looks like a routine still in the building stages. 2 giants before the dismount. That's what we call empty elements. They won't be, they're not difficult enough to add towards the difficulty, but will get deductions if you have tiny bent legs.
Yeah, so you can see a great start to the routine. 2 transition elements linked together, building up the difficulty. But like Christine said, I think it is a work in progress with the dismount. Here we can see building up into a nice high piked Jaeger, catches it arm's length. That's what the judges are looking for each slight elbow bend. They will be taking those deductions, so both of those release and catch elements were very well executed. The gymnasts have to include their dismount in their top 8 elements, but it doesn't have to be a D element, and that's a big change from the code of points in the new cycle. So whether she's working on a new dismount.
I would think so. The score comes in 12.233 for Ty Fidalis of Brazil. Puts her into 3rd place. There's 1 competitor to go. Mustafina leads. They do it. Of France in 2nd and Fidalis of Brazil in 3rd.
And Riley McCusker can do a very good and impressive bar routine.
So our final competitor on this piece of apparatus from the USA, Riley McCusker.
So there's the Stolder with a full turn, linking it straight into the connection to the top bar. Big release and catch with the Katchev. Nice lines in the handstand. There's another big Katchev release element into the low bar, linking all of these elements. There's the Shap with a half turn. Very good leg form on that. Builds up, ready. There's very original dismount. A fantastic routine, especially after the mistake that she started off 1 vault. She'll be pleased to be able to pull that routine out.
Yeah, and she's a very stylish gymnast. Look at the pointed toes, the straight knees. She's one of these gymnasts that really keeps tension through the legs, whatever she's doing. Very, very good handstand line. When we talk about a handstand line, we want to see a straight line from the fingers to the toes, no arching in the back, and locks the legs together for the pirouettes.
That's a big skill as well there from the top bar, swinging back and then into the Katchev. And that was another big one, wasn't it? The Stolder into the Katchev.
That was a super high release and catch, wasn't it? So that she could then move straight away into the pack salto. Unusual dismount, the front away with the half turn into a back out.
And also from the inverted grip, it doesn't give it any more value, but it certainly looks very original. I really like that routine. And she's happy as well. She has obviously heard what I said. Well done, Riley.
Very good to pick herself up. She'd had a long, long wait after vault. She was the first vaulter and made a mistake. So very pleased to deal with the pressure of having to pull herself together for the bars. But we've seen her do this bar routine through in training several times. She's got the numbers under her belt for sure.
She has. It looked very, very comfortable during podium training yesterday, and that's shown with the performance today.
And the score comes in 14.4, puts her into 2nd position.
And that concludes this rotation. So come on, Birmingham, let's get behind these gymnasts.
There's the current leader, Mustafina, 28.732.
So there's confirmation. Aliya Mustafina is in the lead over a mark ahead of Riley McCusker. Third place to Caroline Heduit. Thais Fidelis from Brazil in fourth, with Victoria Wu in fifth, Ria Grieser fifth, and then the three gymnasts who made mistakes, Ellie Downie in seventh, Nagi Kajita eighth, and Liu Zheyu in ninth position.
And
look, can you see that?
Now.
We have a packed arena for the women's competition here in Birmingham.
That's the highest score on uneven bars. And with a total of 27.5.
The women will now move to the dreaded piece of apparatus in my mind. That's the beam, and that's the order. Start list.
Fantastic house band in
Caroline
place through the first of this warm-up, so
of
give it up
France,
for the
Liu
fanatics.
Zheyu of China second, Mustafina up in third, Grieser of Germany up in fourth, Wu from Canada in fifth, Ellie Downie up in sixth place, Fidelis of Brazil in seventh, McCusker of USA going in eighth, and last up on the beam is Kajita of Japan.
And the beam just has such small margins for error. You don't have to be very offline at all to fall. And of course, the judging system means that you have to take quite a lot of risk. The elements that you have to include here is you have to have two acrobatic elements linked. You have to have a backflip and a layout somersault, or a free cartwheel and a backflip. You have to take the risk of linking two elements, two acrobatic elements. You also have to move forwards, and either forwards and sideways. You can't just do everything forwards or everything backwards.
I think what's really noticeable about the experienced gymnasts, and you might agree with me or disagree, Beth, but I think when you get a bit older, you really understand your body and you know what you can do, and you don't waste energy doing things that are pointless, where you see some of these younger gymnasts, they get up there and do absolutely anything, and you're thinking, just take your time a little bit.
Yeah, and the warm-ups, they will have kind of decided with their coaches, what do I need to do in that 30 seconds? For some of them, they've been sat around for quite a long time. Obviously, if they were first up or second up on bars, it was a good half hour, 40 minutes ago. So they may feel that they need to do a little bit more to get themselves warmed up, especially because the rest of the arena is obviously in pitch black. Once they're up on that podium, they need to make use of the lighting.
Yes, it's not like in some competitions where you can go out the back to the warm-up hall and keep yourself ticking over. There's no possibility of that here.
Absolutely, we need to keep warm. It's really interesting. I've seen what I can only describe as Mustafina wearing a sleeping bag around the arena. It's like pretty much head to toe a sleeping bag, and obviously a coach brings her around and keep her warm. That's really important though. Actually, we have a bit of a laugh, but you've really got to keep your body warm.
Yeah, it is actually down on the arena floor. It is a bit chilly down there, so the gymnasts will be keeping warm in between each apparatus, and obviously she's third up, so she doesn't want to do too much to tire herself out before she has to get up and perform. And we are going to see the young French girl first, and her coach that's with her there on the floor used to coach Una Dufournet, who was one of a very successful French gymnast a few years ago, so it's great to see he's got a youngster coming through to the senior ranks.
Well, she was fantastic on the uneven bars, and as I was trying to say earlier, in the Europeans last year, Christine, we sat and watched the French team in the Europeans, and we thought the standard was good enough for the seniors.
Well, this year will be 16. You have to be 16 in the year of the competition to be a senior, so this will be
And
her
our first
16th
competitor
year.
on the beam, representing France, Caroline Hadoui.
It's a very exciting debut for her here.
So off we go. First up on the beam for France is Caroline Hadoui.
And she starts with a difficult backflip onto the beam. 8 elements have to be added up to give you your difficulty score. So she'll be using that. And there's her acrobatic series, the free cartwheel and the layout somersault. So she's done 3 difficult acrobatic elements and 2 very nice jumps. Oh! There's extra marks for a series of 3 moves, and she went for the 2 jumps and then a back somersault, but just a little bit edgy. This spin, very popular and difficult. You have to keep your body still, your centre of gravity over that 1 foot. She made the double spin, but she had quite a big wobble on the way. It's easier on beam if you can get a bit of a rhythm, and you can see she's very apprehensive. A move, a stop, a move, a stop. Quite understandable, because this is a very intimidating arena. Nicely performed, the free walkover and then the split into the backflip again, going for some extra points for joining those 3 elements. She's a powerful gymnast. We saw a big dismount yesterday. Are we going to today? Here, the round off, the backflip, the double pike, very well performed, that dismount. Lots of potential, that routine, but she was definitely very edgy at the start.
Yeah, and it is difficult. You're first off on the piece of apparatus. She had a great mount here using the round off with the flick, but just lost her nerve a bit at the beginning. There's a nice acro series, the free cartwheel into the layout. Here's the tuck back where she was just offline, and unfortunately the beam is not very forgiving if you are offline. Here's the double spin, but just let her shoulder go forward. Did very well to save that, but this is a huge dismount for such a young gymnast, the round off flick into the double pike. So definitely a routine for the future. She's got all the content in there and just needs a bit of time to consolidate it.
Well, another gymnast that was called up at the 11th hour to replace Dos Santos into the French team, and you can really see the potential there actually, because the bars was phenomenal. She's got loads of stuff on the beam as well. It's really, she's a dynamic gymnast, probably a bit more confidence. Christine, you talk about it was a little bit stop-start. Well, that would come from experience and practice and performing.
It would, and if you can manage to keep that rhythm, you know, the more you stop and then start again, the more you lose the impetus of the routine. On the floor, you've got the music to keep you going, but on beam, it's quite difficult. You have to make your own rhythm, and when you're nervous, it's very easy to lose that rhythm.
I was going to say, in a bit like riding a bike, you know, you need to keep the momentum, and there's the score, 11.666 for Hadoui of France. So with that fall, it'd been a 12.666.
Beam is a hard piece to pick up the scores on as well.
Republic of China, Liu Jiayu.
Next up, onto the beam for China is Liu Jiayu.
Let's see how she can regain her focus after her bars routine. The beautiful mount. There's the change leg ring, has to release that head. Look for the foot behind her. The acro series, the flick into the tuck back. Goes for another acro. There's the free walkover into the jumps. Nice double spin. Just has to take a couple of steps forward to regain the balance. A lot of gymnasts have started to introduce the split jump with a half turn, but sideways across the beam. It's a lot more difficult to jump that way. Change leg into the W jump just to make sure she gets her 2 leaps linked together. And then finishes her routine using the round off into the double twist.
Well, she'll have been very happy to put the bars behind her and stay on the beam, but it was a little bit tentative, understandably so. And I'm sure the judges will find some deductions there. This is a beautiful mount. It's very popular, but very impressive.
Yeah, it's a really nice split down. The judges are looking for you to kind of hit that perfect handstand position and not be too arched, not be too dish.
Now this, she takes the head back well. The foot wasn't quite to the height of the head, but it was, and she wasn't quite at splits, but it was a very good try. And this is quite unusual, backflip into tuck back. And it was quite low, she didn't really lift the arms up, but it was secure. And again, the free walkover, you have to immediately join the element to the next move to get given the bonus, but she did very well with the double spin. And punches nice and high, very clean double twist dismount. Not as difficult as many, but clean.
Yeah, and one of the pieces of apparatus that really does show the nerves, you can tell there, it did look a little bit edgy for me, and certainly some of the leaps, the flexibility looked a bit short, didn't really show the split. But obviously if you've had a bit of a disaster on the previous piece of apparatus, you've got to really try and wipe that from your memory and start afresh and really attack a piece of apparatus. But beam is such a difficult piece of apparatus to attack. A great finish there, double twist, plenty of time.
She'll be a lot happier than she was after bars, but I would be surprised if that score goes very high.
The judges are taking their time to decide what elements to credit. You have 2 judges that decide on the difficulty of the routine, and they can confer on what that difficulty is going to be. And then you've got a panel of execution judges, which are obviously deducting from 10.
And the score comes in for Liu Jieyu of China, 12.2 on the beam. Puts her up into 2nd place. All eyes focus on our current leader as she steps up to the beam for Russia, Aliya Mustafina.
Composes herself. Mustafina is a beautifully elegant gymnast. Spent years at the ballet bar training all these elements. Good change leg, leap with a half turn, very nice, and good jump to touch the head with the foot. First of her acrobatic elements, the side somersault. Strong on the landing, and now this, the acrobatic series. Backflip, layout, somersault, nicely performed. There were many years when she struggled with that, so it's good to see her perform it. Oh, but the double spin. It is such a difficult skill to be consistent on, and I've seen her perform it well so many times. But it's something you can't really save if it's offline. Nice split leap into the free cartwheel. Well elevated on the free walkover. But she's hesitant and a little bit slow. At her best, Mustafina works with great pace. She's made the 2 jumps there. You have to link 2 jumps, and she hadn't managed that so far, so she put the change leg into the W jump. That was good. Now she's got 10 seconds to get off the beam now, and she's got to compose herself before the big dismount. The dismount has to be linked. And it is the round off double back, beautifully done, but there was one whole mark off for the fall in the middle.
There was, but the rest of the routine, the class and the elegance that she does show, so most of the elements have very little deduction. There's the change leg with a half turn, fully into the splits, and there's another jump showing her flexibility off. You can see her toes are gripping on to ensure she stays on that piece of apparatus. And the acro series, the flick into the layout, just a step back to regain a balance. Now we see it from a different angle. The double spin looked nice right until that last bit, but like Christine said, once that skill's off, it's very difficult to rescue it. And built up to the double tuck, unfortunately she did take longer than the 10 seconds to get off, so she'll have not only that full mark deduction for the fall, but she'll have a time penalty as well.
And I guess that just what you picked up, Christine, actually it was a little bit short on pace in the routine, and obviously if you fall off and then you take your time, then you're going to fall out of the time and pick up another penalty. And the score comes in 11.866 for Mustafina on the beam. Still keeps her in first place.
Looking a little disappointed with that.
Our next competitor on beam, representing Germany, Leah Greiser.
Next up on the beam for Germany is Leah Greiser.
And there's the jump straight into the splits. Very elegant mount, although very difficult to time perfectly. Builds straight up for the big acro series. Here it is, the flick into the layout. Unfortunately, just off, so has to take the mark for the fall. Gets straight back onto the beam though. There's the change leg into the change leg half. There's a split leap into a free walkover. The judges will decide whether they felt that that connection was a fluid connection. Free cartwheel, has to just regain her balance. Packing lots into this routine. There's the side to me. They have to show a low element onto the beam, so you can see that she's incorporating it into her dance. Builds up Valdez into the flick, into the 1.5 twist. A relatively simple dismount, but since the code of points changed, don't have to have the D.
But quite unusual, quite nice to see a dismount come off a link. This is a super mount. Gymnasts have to include at least 3 dance moves, and that mount counts as one of your dance moves. Dance move being a leap or a jump or a spin, so you can't only do acrobatics. But you saw then the backflip and layout somersault. She just didn't take enough power out of the flip. You have to sort of use the flip to get you up into the air. But elegant work here. And this is the dismount, the Valdez. Backflip to one leg and 1.5 twist dismount.
Quite a difficult dismount actually from such a slow, with the Valdez in almost standing flick into the 1.5, and quite unusual and nice to see actually. I quite like that.
Nice to see. She did it particularly well because she barely got her foot on actually, the second foot.
Yeah, she was lucky to, obviously done it a few times, knew how to still get that 1.5 twist round. She looks quite pleased considering she had the mistake early on in the routine.
And the score comes in for Leah Grieger of Germany, 11.3.
Well, this really is becoming a battle of the nerves and stability.
Well, 4 routines, and we've had 3 falls from the operators so far. So yeah, it does pile the pressure on the rest of the gymnasts.
Our next competitor,
Our next competitor
Canada,
for Canada will be Victoria Wu.
And we see again the popular backflip mount. As Beth said earlier, the gymnasts have to do some work low to the beam, so it's quite a good idea to start low to the beam and get that requirement out of the way. Here, this series, good, powerful backflip. You could see she had plenty of flight to take into the layout somersault. An elegant gymnast. Now that was well joined, the free walkover into the split jump. Double spin, particular technique there of turning back on herself. Good, strong side somersault. So we've seen forwards, sideways, backward elements. Now we've got another difficult jump coming up. Split with the half turn. So she will have done her difficult acrobatic elements. Here comes the leap series. Changed leg leap into the C-zone. The dismount has to be added into the difficulty score. So she'll want a big, strong dismount. 2.5 twist. Very good routine there from Victoria Wu. Elegant, solid. Big improvement on the other routines we've seen.
Yeah, definitely a very classy routine. I'm not sure whether she just ran out of time at the end. They heard the second buzzer, but there's the nice mount she started the routine with. Builds up for her connection of the acro. Uses the popular flick layout, but no problems with that whatsoever. Now we can see the free walkover into the jump, getting a connection.
A good routine from her.
A very good, solid routine from this gymnast. There's the change leg. Didn't quite have the leg bend after the change leg, so it'll be debatable whether she had the connection. And there's the 2.5. When the gymnasts do get the time, first bell to say they've got 10 seconds to get off, just like Mustafina, some gymnasts will take their time. The coaches would have said, do you know what, just take your time, take the 0.1 deduction rather than taking the full mark if you then rush into your dismount.
Yeah, we've seen so many gymnasts, haven't they, rush to get in time and then they end up falling over, lose a mark. It's better off losing a 10th than a mark. And sometimes, you know, the gymnasts have to really think on the feet up there, and probably a good decision and a good score. 12.6 for Victoria Wu on the beam, pushes her up into 3rd place.
Well, particularly like Mustafina, she was dismounting with a double back. She needed full concentration for that, so she wasn't going to chuck herself about.
So there's the standings. The first 5 gymnasts have competed on the beam. Mustafina leads. Herdouet of France in 2nd. Great beam there by Wu, puts her up into 3rd spot. Grieger in 4th, and Liu Jiu of China in 5th.
White, pink, red, green, orange, blue, purple, lilac.
You can see the gymnasts having their 30 seconds warm-up, and this is the order we're going to see them in next. We're going to see Ellie Downie as the first person on the beam, then Thais Fidelis followed by Riley McCusker and Nagi Kajita bringing up the final position.
17.
17, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Becky Downie.
I think this will be a real test for Ellie, actually, after the disappointment on the bars. And it's a real test of any character in any sport. If you have a bit of a disappointment, how well can you build yourself back up? What we've seen from the American, she had a pretty poor vault, but then she came back really strong on bars, and that's what we really need to see from Ellie now when she attacks this piece of apparatus. You know, and it is such a difficult piece of, you know, we've seen Mustafina fall. We've had 3 falls in the first group on there, so it'd be a real test.
And for Ellie, she's a big, powerful gymnast. Floor and vault are her real powerful pieces, and she's had to work very, very hard on beam. You know, when you're very tiny and your feet are very tiny, the beam seems relatively wide. The bigger you are, the smaller the beam seems. And for Becky, she's really had to work very hard to become an accomplished beam worker, which she most certainly is.
And we can hear the crowd in the background getting ready for their home favourite.
I just caught over the top of the monitor. She fell off this first move in the warm-up, so
Our
hopefully she's put that behind her.
Representing Great Britain is
Fingers
Ellie
crossed.
Downie.
Next up, onto the beam for Great Britain is Ellie Downie.
She takes a deep breath, builds her composure. There's the change leg. Puts her first acro element in, the free cartwheel. Safely through that first couple of elements. There's the change leg. Great height and amplitude in those first leaps. Here's the front somersault, just off to the side. She'll take her time to regain her composure and jump back up. Builds up for the double spin. And there it is. Manages to save that. Here she goes for the flick into the layout. Very solid combination. Shows the down part to the routine. You can see she's trying to build up for the dismount. There's the 2.5 twist. Just landed a little bit short on that, but had to take the steps to regain a balance.
That was a real shame for Ellie because she started with great rhythm. She really did go for that mount, lovely split on the mount. And then once she got going with good speed. She didn't hang about, she worked with style and with confidence. And this is usually a good element for her, the front somersault. She was very surprised. If there was something she was going to fall off on, that wasn't what she expected to be the problem. But this foot was completely off at this side, you could see. So really cross with herself, but she got back on and nailed the rest. Lovely backflip and layout somersault. Good double spin, she had to fight for that. But she certainly did.
Nice choreography.
Choreography was really good. And here the dismount. She usually lands this very easily, but that was quite a big knee bend. But do you know, a lot of that routine was lovely.
Yeah, it certainly was. You can see the potential, actually, and this is a gymnast getting back to form. I think that's the thing we can take from this is, you know, she had a great competition last weekend, winning the British Championships, and she just needs to get these competitions under her belt to get fitter for the Europeans, Worlds, and Tokyo. That, unfortunately, this is the sport, and she's just going to have to get back to the gym and bang out a few more routines. Yeah, it started well, that routine, actually. Just a shame, like you say, it fell off on the front somersault. Score comes in, 11.5 for Ellie Downie, puts her into 5th position.
And our next competitor on beam, representing Brazil, Thais Vidales.
Next up on the beam for Brazil is Thais Vidales.
Gymnasts don't have to have a difficult mount. They can just get on the beam quite quietly. But this is good movements over arches. Fast moving. Oh, and 2 very good layout somersaults, lifting the level of the routine. Going for 2 ambitious leaps, tiny bit off the full split, but the join was very good, as is the free walkover into the split jump, into the flip. But I think that's a little wishful. I don't think the foot was as high as the head on that. And that's where the judges have to make a judgment. Nice free cartwheel. Solid on the front somersault. But if it's a little bit low, the judges take quite a few marks off. But this has been a sparkly routine. Good, strong double pike dismount. Well, that was a very experienced performance.
It was, and she's had a very long wait to be able to get up and do that routine, and that's probably the most confident routine we've seen during this competition, and I'm sure the score will reflect that. Here you can see a great somersault series at the beginning, the flick into the layout. So not only building the difficulty, but the series bonus as well. We can see it there. Lovely straight legs and not a flicker on the landing.
You have to be confident in your approaches.
There's the split leap with the leg bend. Judges will have to debate whether to credit that skill. Nice free cartwheel. And then the big double pike and just a small hop, but definitely the best routine we've seen so far.
Well, yes, Brazil are a strong team on beam, actually.
I'm going to say the best beam routine we've seen so far has been 12.6 from Victoria Wu of Canada. And you're right there, Beth, the score comes in 12.933 for Thais Vidales of Brazil. Puts her into 3rd spot.
And our next competitor, representing the United States of America, Riley McCusker.
Next up on the beam for the US of A is Riley McCusker.
Beautifully extended gymnast, very supple. Look at the heel off the beam there. 1, 2, 3. It had a little wobble along the way, but confident enough to do a double after it. So gymnasts can do that. They can get an E for the triple and a D for the double spin. Good split. Now here's the acrobatics layout. Oh, and that surprised me a great deal. She looked very confident, very well rehearsed. Beautiful extension through the whole of the body. Hits the splits very easily on those leaps, but she's quite rattled. Didn't place the foot properly at the end of that change leg half. Much better with those 3 elements in a row. Free cartwheel, split jump, tuck back. A little bit of sideways dance that has to be included. Expressing her work well, use of head as well as arms. Here we come, 1 flip, 2, double tuck, a good strong dismount, but very unusual error for an American gymnast in the middle of that beam routine.
Certainly was, Christine, actually, because up until then she looked like she was so in control. Just look at the flexibility there, and you can see the extension when she's going to split. The extension there, heel comes off the beam, and did really well actually on this triple spin. About 2 turns round, Christine, she looked like she was going to fall off and then pulled it back. I mean, just superb control.
She did a similar skill, but double the second time round.
Yep,
And again, the double.
Difficulty values, and
Look at the extension in the legs. There's a free walk over. That's superb leg definition as well. Just look at the muscle there, Christine, such a powerful gymnast. There you go, flick, lay out, just off to one side with the shoulders, and it's a bit like what we saw on the spin earlier. If your shoulders aren't just directly over your feet, over that beam, you're off.
See the toes gripping the edge of the beam.
And then the gymnast has to get back on and compose themselves.
Back flip to 1,
Flick to 1, flick to 2, into the double back dismount.
There was plenty of difficulty in that routine. Had she managed to stay on, it would have been a big score. But 1 whole mark off, and then she got a little jittery after that.
Well, I think she's just shrugging it off as just one of those days. Beam's one of those pieces of apparatus in it, Christine, where you can be so brilliant in training and the nerves can easily get the better of you. I mean, we've had 5 falls out of the 8 gymnasts so far, so it is really such a difficult piece of apparatus. And the score comes in, 12.166 for McCusker of the United States. Good score, even with a fall.
Well, it was a classy routine. Every element she performed, she did very well with.
Well, that score pushes her up into 2nd place, and now we have our final competitor on this piece of apparatus. On the beam for Japan is Nagi Kajita.
And no sooner on than off. I'd always feel the very difficult mounts are quite risky, but I've seen her warm that up excellently today already. The free walkover, but then a little pause before the 2 jumps. She would have been hoping to join those 2. The good acrobatic element. She had a little fight, but she saved it. The back flip and layout somersault. Another big leap with the head back. And a spin with the leg up. There's extra points given for all these difficult moves, and these gymnasts are chasing difficult scores. Like their difficulty score, they're chasing a high score and trying to link lots of elements, but really it's not working tonight, that's for sure. So difficult when you've fallen off the first element to compose yourself, but she's done very well. Now, the 2.5 dismount, step to the side. She gave the judges plenty of opportunity to deduct in that routine.
And the beam takes another victim again.
It has today, yeah.
6 falls in this rotation. Unbelievable. There you can see the round off back somersault to starter. Such a difficult skill. You can see why some gymnasts will opt for quite a simple mount, because you know there's no stipulation that you have to do a difficult start. And then obviously once you've had a fall from the apparatus, whichever apparatus is, it does knock you, and certainly she did well there on that flick layout. The acrobatic series, just a fight to stay back on the apparatus. And as you said, in various points there, Christine, opportunity for the judge to take deductions as well.
The thing as well, they have marks for what they call mastery, for you looking totally in control, and they won't be awarding many of those, I don't think.
No, absolutely. And it needs to flow a routine as well, with rhythm as well. Interpretation, 11.366 for Nagi Kajita of Japan. Puts her in 8th position. And here we go, with 1 rotation to go. Mustafina still leads the field above McCusker of the United States, Hedouet of France in 3rd, Fidalis of Brazil in 4th, Wu of Canada in 5th, Grija, Germany 6th, Downie of Great Britain in 7th, Kajita of Japan in 8th, and Zhou of China in 9th.
So Mustafina will wait till the end, and here she is, all wrapped up to keep warm. I think your description of her sleeping bag was pretty apt there, Craig.
You know what? I would love a jacket like that. She's obviously heard about the weather in the UK, but to be fair, I don't think it'd be that warm in Russia at this moment. But that is absolutely fantastic jacket. Love it. And she looks every bit the champion, actually. Very calm and relaxed. And knowing that you've had a fall from the apparatus and you're still out in front must make her feel quite relaxed.
Makes her feel very confident indeed, and she knows that she's in the lead at the moment, so she will be the final competitor on the floor. And
there it is, heading into the final round. These are the current standings.
And there you can see the gymnasts, that's where they congregate. They call it the kiss and cry area. Well, after that beam, I imagine there's not a lot of kissing, and there'll be certainly a lot of crying. And that's where they congregate and then go out. So the first person up on this rule will be Liu Zheyu of China.
8, representing Russian Federation, is Aliya Mustafina.
Interesting, Christine, actually it was totally pitch black in here, barring the apparatus, and they've actually lifted the house lights a bit.
I think they maybe did that for the gymnasts on the beam. I suspect there would have been complaints after the bars that the gymnasts were finding the lights blinding. So now this is the order the gymnasts will work in on floor. Liu Zhou will go first, followed by Nagi Kajita. Ellie Downie will be 3rd, Leah Grisler 4th, and Victoria Wu 5th. That will be when the second warm-up takes place. So first 5 gymnasts will warm up and compete, and then the last 4, Teas Fidelis, Caroline Hedouet, Riley McCusker, and finishing with Aliya Mustafina.
You can see the gymnasts in the first group lining up. So they'll go out and a 3-minute warm-up.
Yes,
Top 4 gymnasts will wait.
And still quite dark for the audience, as you can see. The beam is still the lit area. You haven't had the floor area lit yet.
There's Ellie Downie. What do you think's going through her mind, Christine? I mean, you see her train quite a bit at Lilleshall with the team, and the preparation that's gone into this. And, you know, what's she going to be thinking now?
Well, she'll be just hoping, I think, that she can get through and prove herself on floor. I mean, she's had a long time out, and last weekend at the British Championships was the first time she's competed on all apparatus for a long time. And although she did absolutely great, she no doubt used a lot of adrenaline, and it was a tall order to ask to come straight back off that performance to come and work and do it all again this week. She needs more work under her belt, we know that. She's been recovering from injury, and the medical people have been very careful with her comeback. But she'll be pleased to have been able to get through another four-piece competition, because every time she competes, she's a step closer to being really at the peak of her work.
Absolutely, and you know, I don't want to keep going on about it, but if you look at Mustafina last weekend in Germany, she fell off the beam 3 times and fell off the beam. So it's not just, you know, a thing that happens to occasional gymnasts. It happens to the best gymnasts in the world, and this is why I think this World Cup's really important, so that gymnasts getting back from injury or new up-and-coming gymnasts can really experience this and take the lessons back into the gym. So I really hope that she lifts the game onto this last piece of apparatus of floor, because actually this is one of her exceptional pieces of apparatus. She's so powerful and good to watch.
Well, she is. She's an exceptional vaulter and tumbler. And she'll be wanting to show the world that here. She's third up, so she can afford to have a reasonable warm-up. There's 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes for the gymnast to warm up. Some of them will do all their tumbles, some will just do a couple. She certainly doesn't look massively happy.
I was just going to say there, she's having a conversation with the coach of that opening bit, and this is where they really need to have a serious conversation. I look like, to me, on the beam, she just crunched her ankles a little bit, and I think if she's in any doubt about how she's feeling, then she needs to stop, but only she can make that decision. I know she's tumbled back across the floor. We will wait with bated breath.
That is a beautiful spin.
Well, there she is, wrapped up, the current leader. Aliya Mustafina.
The Birmingham crowd's doing my job for me. I love it. Gymnasts.
39 medals in total, Mustafina, at world level. University Games, European Championships, Euro Games, World Championships, Olympic Games.
Our first competitor on the floor, representing People's Republic of China, Liu Jiayu.
First up on the floor for China is Liu Jiayu.
Super triple twist to start. This is the opportunity for the gymnasts to show their expressive dance. Very nice. 2.5 twist into punch front. So we've had 2 twisting somersaults. She needs a double back somersault. Here it comes. Double tuck. Little low on the landing. In for a 4th tumble. Just a double twist, but very, very clean. Nice, elegant, smooth work. Not the most difficult tumbles, but a very pretty routine.
Well, I'm sure she'll be happy with her finish to that competition. Definitely one of her better routines of the day. Here you can see the round-off leg into the triple twist. Very good leg extension there throughout the air, completing the 3 turns. And there's the 2.5 twist immediately into the front somersault.
The routine with tumbling and dance elements, and the socks will just help with the friction on the floor so you can get in more spins.
Always important as well to get the dance and the choreography in.
Working right into the corner of the 12 by 12 metre floor.
And then finally into the double twist as well. You can see there the legs are jammed together throughout the flick. Quite unusual actually, as the gymnasts sometimes have a little bit of a leg split, but very precise with her tumbling. And there you go, same tumbling again in the with a sideways angle. You could see nailed the double twist dead, no steps needed. And a good way to finish off her competition here in Birmingham.
Difficult to come back from 2 falls on an apparatus, so good, clean performance to finish the competition. But a little bit too late, unfortunately. Shouldn't give the judges too much to think about, Christine. I think it was a pretty straightforward routine.
Yes, they have to set their eye in. Remember, it's international judges and every country has slightly different level.
The score comes in for Liu Jieyu, 12.7 on the floor.
Our next competitor on floor, representing Japan, Nagi Kajita.
So Nagi Kajita for Japan takes to the floor.
Gymnasts have got to work with the music as well as tumble. That was good. The 1.5 twist connected into the front somersault with a 1.5 twist. Oh, nice on the spin there. Work the floor. Into the 2.5 twist. On the spin again. The leap series, the gymnast must show as a requirement. Good choreography, needs a strong tumble. Got to be a double somersault, stands up into the double back. Well, that was one of the best performances he's done in this competition. Great way to finish.
It was indeed. It showed me it took 4 apparatus to see what exactly she's made of and the quality that she brings to this competition. But nonetheless, she got there in the end. You can take a little look at the replay. There's the 1.5 twist immediately connected into the 1.5 twist. Just a slight leg split there on the landing. And then into the triple twist, completing the 3 turns all the way around. And then powers up once again. There's the 2.5 twist backwards. Again, just a little leg spit as she came out for the landing. But nothing too drastic.
Matching the choreography. Let's go with music.
And then finishing off her routine. There's the double sum. So you can see there's the chest just a little low on the landing. So the judges obviously will have spotted that. But good, strong finish to her competition.
Yes, it hasn't been the happiest of days.
And I'm looking at that last tumble actually from the side, and I'm a bit unsure whether it was a double tuck or a double pike actually, Christine. And if it's supposed to be a pike, then it'd be heavily deducted, I would say.
No, I think it would be a tuck. She's got a really quite unusual round-off action, which doesn't seem to help the flip tremendously. And she really was struggling to get off her hands up into the air for that double tuck at the end.
It's the same sort of arm lift she did in the back somersault on the beam as well. It's almost like she's not using her arms to lift up into the somersault, which is one of the things that you teach kids right from the start. And it obviously works for her.
Well, the judges are certainly taking their time with these floor scores. There's a lot of judgment to be made on the floor, whether the turns got right round, whether the leaps hit 180 degrees. And there we go, 12.833. The floor scores for the women are very tough. If you crack into the 13s, you're doing well.
Our next competitor on the floor, representing Great Britain, Ellie Downie.
Next up on the floor for Great Britain will be Ellie Downie.
Now, a week ago at the British Championship, she wowed us with the most fantastic tumbling. Can she do it again? Let us see. 1.5 twist into the double Arabian. Excellent work. Very expressive routine. Good strong double back in the second tumble. Lovely leaps right round that tourgette. Ellie really sells this routine well. She needs a big final tumble. There it comes, lovely double pike. Well done, Ellie. She picked herself right back up, given a great performance to finish with.
Absolutely, well that was more like it and more like the Ellie that we've seen last week at the British Championships. I think there was a slightly watered down routine compared to the British Championships, but makes sense considering she'd have competed 2 weekends in a row. And obviously the main aim will be the Europeans in just under a month's time. So it makes sense to play safe, but also deliver still a world-class routine. Here's her first tumble, 1.5 connected into the double Arabian, keeps those feet inbounds, plenty of height and rotation in the double Arabian. Definitely a strong start for her. And there you are now. Into the double tuck. I believe that she's also capable of doing the double twisting double back as well, which is what she competed last week. So we know she's definitely got that in the lockdown. I'm sure will be reintroduced for those European Championships.
I think actually that's a really smart move there from Ellie and the coach. Just looking at her in the warm-up, she had a little conversation with the coach, and actually she could have risked doing that big tumble there, and she's really saved herself actually, because she's not going to push up into the medals, but like you say, Christian, in a couple of weeks it's the European Championships where it's a lot more important.
Well, she'll be very pleased to have walked away happily. 13.033. You really do have to do a tremendous amount of work to get scores on floor, because really that first tumble was huge.
It was so controlled as well. If you think about walking out of one into another sequence, I mean, she was right on the edge of the floor
next competitor
there.
on the floor, representing Germany, Aliya Mustafina.
So for Germany, Aliya Mustafina.
Very dramatic start to the routine. Opens well with the double back somersault. Into the 2.5 twist. A little adjustment there on the landing. Good position in the split on the leap. Lovely combination there with the spin. One, two, double spin out. One and a half twist, straight into the straight front with a full. Beautiful there on the leap. Again, that's the leap combination of the requirement. Well, that was such a dramatic performance.
Beautifully dramatic floor routine. It couldn't have been a starker contrast to Ellie Downie's. Ellie's full of power, this full of grace and precision.
Absolutely, I think she definitely had a unique also dismount and mount as well on the beam, so she's obviously been working on how she can make her gymnastics stand out that little bit more, be a bit more creative on her approach to her gymnastics. And then also back it up with the tumbles as well. There's the 2.5 twist, the step forward. That step forward obviously helping to control the landing.
Every gymnast has unique choreography.
And then also her spin as well.
Yeah, it's finding music and choreography that
I mean, gymnasts, it's a requirement actually, Christine, that they have to sell the routine to the judges, and that was so expressive, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yes, certainly. And, you know, a lot of gymnasts do an awful lot of work on the dance side, and the leaps and the spins do count for an awful lot. We tend to think about the wonderful tumbling, but the dance and the expressive side count for an awful lot as well.
Looks like she's enjoyed her time.
Simply
here.
beautiful.
Giving you a big wave.
Interesting what the judges make of that.
It will. Last year we saw a few occasions, particularly one or two of the Dutch gymnasts scoring tremendously highly with fairly simple routines. 12.8, that was a very good score.
If you think it wasn't nowhere near the difficulty of what we've seen, but it's right up there in the 12s.
Representing Canada, Victoria Wu.
So next up for Canada, Victoria Wu.
Well, she was very elegant on the beam, and I'd expect to see a similarly beautiful routine here. Oh, lovely high double straight somersault. A loss of control on the spin though. Good height on the leaps. Cleanly round the triple spin. Front somersault into 2.5 twists. Gymnasts have to include a front somersault in a tumbling pass. Lovely landing on that double pike, super height on the tumble. Well, she's certainly combined very expressive dance work with some fabulous high tumbling.
Indeed, it is very impressive floor routine, lots of powerful tumbling going on there as well, and also some exceptional landings. Obviously gaining that extra little bit of height allows you to spot the floor a little bit easier, an opportunity to catch the landing, minimising those deductions. And there's the first opening tumble, a double straight position. Haven't seen any of those today so far. And there you can see slight miscontrol though on the spin. But that was much better than the triple spin this time. And here's a front summy walkout, immediately then into the 2.5 twist. Clean in the air, lots of height. And finally, just her final tumbling pass, the double pike. You can see there the legs were absolutely jammed together. Good landing, great way to finish off her routine and competition.
Yeah, well-constructed routine there, I think. With it was a good mix, actually, because it had some of the big tumbles. She was very precise on the big tumbles on the landings, the double layout and the double pike back somersault, and a real mix of the choreography. You can see the good flexibility on the leaps and the combinations. And, you know, a routine like that should get into the high 12s, Christine, do you think?
Oh, yeah, the high 12s, I would think. The hop on the spin will have lost her a little bit, plus the value of the spin. But I thought she might have crept into a 13. We'll see.
And 12.8 for Victoria Wu of Canada. Move over, judges. I'm after your spot. Only kidding.
So the first 5 gymnasts have finished their competition, and this is how they stand at the moment. Victoria Wu leads them, with Leah Grisia second, Ellie Downie third, Nagi Kajita fourth, and Liu Jeju bringing up the 5th position. We see our final 4 gymnasts warming up on the floor. It's likely that the winners will come from this group. Thais Fidelis will start, Caroline Heduit will be second, followed by Riley McCusker, and our final gymnast of the day will be Aliya Mustafina.
Yeah, and we talk about coming back to fitness, actually. The floor routine is a piece of apparatus that really does take that muscular endurance to get through, so it's not a foregone conclusion that Mustafina's going to walk away as the champion today. She's still got to put a routine together.
And our next competitor on floor, representing Brazil, Thais Fidelis.
So Thais Fidelis starts this final subdivision, and she's shown us some excellent work.
Walk out into the double Arabian. Oh, just a little foot out there. That'll be 0.1. powerful gymnast. Oh, nice second tumble, full twisting double back. Good in the leaps, nice flexibility, extended right through to the toes. Stands up easily into the double tuck. Good in the leap there. And again. Needs a good solid tumble, come on. Stands up into the double pike. Well, that was well spotted. That was a great routine to finish a great competition. Well done.
Well, I said earlier she's shown us pockets of brilliance, and that was one of them.
Indeed, you could really see there that she's got lots in the locker. Same opening tumble as Ellie Downie, the 1.5 walkout into the double raven. Actually thought the double raven stalled a little bit in the air, which perhaps made it a little bit easier to spot the floor, but made me worried for a moment she might sit down. But there's the second tumble, the full twisting double back. Easily round on that second tumble. And I think there's been a little bit of a resurgence from the Brazilian gymnasts as of late. They seem very, very good, very capable of competing now with the world's best, as we've seen at last year's World's Championships, and she'll be part of that team. And there's the double tuck, going pretty easily round. No trouble on that one. And then finally into the double pike. Sticks the landing, nothing to take away from the judges on the landing on that one.
Interesting, she's one of the very few gymnasts that's hit 4 routines for 4 routines in this competition. And it just maybe proves that, yet again, consistency is the key.
Well, 13.1, top score of the day. And that doesn't surprise me. It was a very accomplished performance.
Thirteen's quite a difficult score to get into on the floor, actually, certainly as has been in this competition. So the next 3 competitors will have to put in good performances if they want to go above it. And next up for France, Caroline Hedui.
She looked very dynamic on beam. Lovely whip into double back there. Quickly back into another tumble, double pike. Little bounce on landing. And that was a smooth spin. Leg held high. Two and a half punch front, she really powered into that. A little bit of a loss of control on the squat spin. And I'm not sure that that leg was quite high enough. Another big tumble, double twist to finish. She's a very sparkly little gymnast. It just felt a bit disjointed to me, some of that, rather than a complete performance. Again, a bit of a work in progress, it felt.
Yeah, definitely. You could see she had to fight up parts of this routine. There's the whip double back. Extremely difficult, actually, to get your feet in the correct position to set up vertically for the double back. So an impressive opening tumble. And there's the double pike. Lots of power. And to try and control that landing. I believe this was one of them. You could see here just falling out the position. It's hard then to recompose yourself into a second spin. although that one was a little bit better. And there's the 2.5 immediately into the somersault. Again, a little bit low on the somersault. Almost looked like as she came out of it, she compromised the position slightly. Wasn't able to get the full height that was needed.
I think on the 2.5 there, it looked like, because she's such a zippy gymnast, she over-rotated the 2.5 a little bit, and then that forced her to snatch that front somersault. But I think, Christine, your comment there absolutely sums up this gymnast. She's a work in progress. We can see huge potential there. I mean, the bars were excellent today, but you can see a decent score on the floor. 12.7 puts her up into second place for Caroline Hédouet of France.
But you were right, that 13-1 was quite a good score, and the others are going to have to be better to match it.
Our next competitor, representing the United States of America, Aliya McCusker.
So Aliya Mustafina, USA, gives us her final performance of the day.
As we know, the Americans are renowned for their powerful floor work. Full twisting double back to start, little stutter on the landing. Forward pass, nice combination, straight front with a double twist, punch front into a leap. Easily rounding the double pike. This gymnast has got beautiful extension in the legs. See, stretch right through to the toes. Double spin, controlled with ease. Again there, good execution on that leap combination. Must compose herself for this big tumble. Stands up into the double back in the tuck position. Well, that was a measured performance from the young American, just what she needed. And after that fall earlier in the competition, she's really fought back.
She's a beautiful gymnast, her quality of every move that she does. She has a beautiful shoulder line. She really performs beautifully. Just a few little bounces like that on landings, almost a little bit too excitable. Double twist into the punch front. Very nice forward series, because as you have to show a forward element.
Very clean double pipe, not much room for just...
Lovely landing on that one.
The extension I've not seen like this in a gymnast for such a long time. She's almost trained like a ballerina.
Yeah, she is. The feet never flicker, do they?
And the double spin in the squat position.
It's been a pleasure to watch her gymnastics.
Double tuck. Bending the knees to control the landing.
Just seemed a little brittle in some areas.
And the score comes in, 13.366 into first place. Second routine on the 13, that was well deserved, Christine.
Yes, it really was a beautiful routine.
She'll be making it onto the podium with just one.
Interesting the score would have been if she'd have stood up on a vault.
There she is, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it. Representing the Russian Federation, give it up for
My
Aliya
final
Mustafina.
competitor in this women's all-around competition onto the floor. Representing Russia is Aliya Mustafina.
Another exceptionally beautiful gymnast. with ease the full twisting double back. And the triple spin. Sky high double tuck. She didn't quite finish that spin. Difficult combination, the 1.5 into the full twisting front. Super extension up on her toes. Has she left herself enough in the locker for this final tumble? Here we go. Just about. Wow, what a performance and what a treat to see Aliya Mustafina on her way back. She's going to be a force in gymnastics for the next year or so.
Well, that was a real competition and so nice to see. I'm sure her daughter will be watching back home, probably not really sure what's going on, but be incredibly proud. I mean, that was just a real performance, not just on the floor, but all the apparatus. Full twisting double back to start, little bit of a leg separation there, but she really had to work at this routine.
Yes, but where sometimes in the past she's looked a bit disgruntled, she's really looked as if she's back because she wants to be, and she's determined to reap the rewards of all those years of hard work she's put in.
Absolutely, and all of a sudden, you know, when you become a parent, you become secondary, and I think maybe you can see that in her life, that she realises gymnastics is not the most important thing in her life anymore, and sometimes that just gives you that little bit of confidence, and she certainly looked really confident going through this competition, albeit a fall from the beam. Certainly better than last weekend, and this might just be the first World Cup she's won.
Confident and determined, I'd say. 12.966, but it's enough. It gives her the first place, and that will be a sensation through the world of gymnastics that Mustafina's back.
Silver medalist from USA there, Aliya Mustafina. And confirmation. First place for Aliya Mustafina of Russia, silver to the USA Aliya Mustafina, and the bronze to Tai Fidalis of Brazil. Fourth, Caroline Heruit of France, Victoria Wu of Canada in fifth, Leah Grija of Germany sixth, Ellie Downie wasn't to be today, seventh for Great Britain, Nagi Kajita of Japan in eighth, and Lu Jieyu of China in ninth.